Boris Johnson will address the nation on TV this week to reveal plans of a winter lockdown, according to reports. The Prime Minister could issue tougher lockdown restrictions for Brits for the rest of the year as the number of new coronavirus cases continues to rise. New rules could see households banned from mixing, cutting opening hours at pubs and issuing tougher penalties for those who flout them. A senior government source told their son Colin there's not much on the cards to look forward to. The next 6 months will be pretty *****. Medical advisors are said to be briefing Mr. Johnson this weekend on what they would like to see happen to tackle the recent surge in cases. It is claimed he could make his TV address on Tuesday, although this has not been confirmed. A further 4,422 COVID-19 infections were recorded in the UK on Saturday, the highest daily increase since May 8. The death count also increased by 27, reaching a tragic total of 41,759. Chief Medical Officer Professor Chris Whitty and Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance are set to meet the PM on Sunday to outline plans for what could happen if no tougher action is taken to control the virus. It comes as new rules come into force that anyone who tests positive for coronavirus and even suspected carriers who ignore the 2-week quarantine rule will be fined £1,000. And the low-paid will get £500, so they can isolate at home. That will rise to £10,000 for repeat offenders and cases of blatant non-compliance. Announcing the scheme, the PM said, "The best way we can fight this virus is by everyone following the rules and self-isolating if they are at risk of passing on the virus. People who choose to ignore the rules will face significant fines. And while most people are doing their level best to comply with the rules, I don't want to see a situation where people don't feel they are financially able to self-isolate." Close quote. It is the latest effort to contain the second wave sweeping the UK, as millions of Brits are placed into local lockdowns. Mr. Johnson admitted a second national lockdown would be nothing short of disastrous for the economy. He has refused to rule out a national 2-week circuit break lockdown after the number infection rate rose to between 1 and 1.4. Yesterday, he warned the country is just 6 weeks behind France and Spain, where the daily death toll rose to 239 this week. On Monday, the government's rule of 6 came into force, banning socialising in groups of more than 6. But Mr. Johnson said he is weighing up whether to go further. He said, "We're looking very carefully at the spread of the pandemic as it evolves over the last few days, and there's no question, as I've said for several weeks now, that we could expect, and are now seeing a second wave coming in. We are seeing it in France, in Spain, across Europe. It has been absolutely, I'm afraid, inevitable we were going to see it in this country." The government's original lockdown architect, Professor Neil Ferguson of Imperial College London, warned tougher restrictions were needed sooner rather than later. The epidemiologist, who resigned from government scientific advisory group SAGE in May for flouting his own lockdown rules, said, "Right now we're at about the levels of infections we were seeing in late February. If we leave it at another 2 to 4 weeks, we will be back at levels we were seeing more like mid-March. That's going to clearly cause deaths. parts of England are already being forced back into lockdown in a bid to flatten the curve, with rules including a 10 p.m. curfew on pubs and restaurants, and a ban on socialising outside of households. These are now in place in the North East and start on Tuesday in the North West, Midlands, and West Yorkshire. At least 13.5 million people, roughly a fifth of the UK population, are already facing local restrictions. Despite this, the Office for National Statistics (ONS) said there has been a marked increase in infections across country and through all age groups, with hospitalisation among older people growing and the death rate beginning to creep up. Admissions for coronavirus are doubling every 8 days, and there has been a surge in the number of patients needing intensive care. There are currently 988 COVID-19 patients on wards in England, up from 425 at the start of the month. It takes about 3 weeks for a rise in the number of cases to translate into an increase in deaths.